We're live. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to What West Ham channel? That West Ham channel. Before I get going, I just want to send, as always, you loads of good health, happiness, and kindness. And bearing in mind, shout out to the 6 people that are on watching straight away. This ain't about football this evening. This is episode 2 of Bigger Than Football. It's bigger than football. And I'm really pleased to have a wonderful guest on who's going to be sharing his interpretation and experience when it comes to men's mental health, because that's what this show is all about. Now, before we kick off, I just want to read a little something. So, the strongest thing a man can do. We've been raised to believe strength means silence, that showing emotion makes you weak. But here's the truth. The strongest thing a man can do is face himself, his trauma, his truth, his past. The mirror don't lie, and neither do we here. This show is not about pretending. It's about showing up raw, honest, and real. So welcome to this safe space where strength finally looks like healing. Because as real men, we talk. We don't bottle it up. We don't suffer in silence. We don't mask our pain with a pint and a laugh and call it coping. We speak, we cry, we open up, because real strength lives in vulnerability. And this show right here is a safe space for every man who's tired of holding it in. So let's talk, let's heal, and let's start being real together. So people, scrolling across the bottom here, you've got at Football the Dad's Talk. Please subscribe. This gentleman that I'm getting on. Oh, hello. Let's get a few of the people. Just say hello to the people in chat. Hello to Harry Monk. Oh, hello, you beautiful man, to Papa. Glad you turned up for this one. Shout out to all the brethren as well. Hello to Usual Suspect and Harry. Hello to Daz. Hello, Harry Monk again. Thank you, people, for joining in for this one. So without further ado, I want to bring a gentleman that I've known for, he'll correct me, but I think the best part of 6 to 7 months. His name's Bobby. As I said, his channel's going across to Football the Dad's Talk, and he's got a great story. So let me add. Hello, mate.
How you doing, mate? You good?
All good, all good. And you're coming through loud and clear, and yeah, your picture's crystal as well. How's things, bruv?
Excellent, mate. Happy days. I've got to say, when you asked me to come on here the other day, I was a bit sort of daunted in a way. I remember the last time I'd done a live with you a few months ago. It's the first live I'd done. I was all over the place, jumping in on people when they was talking. But yeah, you know what? For this sort of subject, it's so close to here, and I feel like, you know what? If I can help one person, one fella or whatever, whoever they are, just speak to someone, I'm willing to put myself out there. I don't usually like opening myself up, but yeah, do you know what? I'm at that stage where I can do that now.
Brilliant, mate. And you are bang on. If it's just one person that resonates with something you say today that makes them think, you know, Bob, who's just a normal bloke, albeit is a gooner. We'll get to that in a second. If Bob can talk about it and feel all right about it, then maybe I need to open up as well. And it does make a huge difference, as we'll hear from you. Now, obviously, Bob, you know the concept of this show. It's not about football, but this particular show, men's mental health, a big part for me growing up to mask. One of my masks of mental health was West Ham, without a shadow of a doubt. It was something I could hide behind. I could go turn up every week and just be, without the blokes around me knowing it at the time, like a little suffering kid inside that was just shouting and swearing and hollering to get all that energy out, because as soon as that final whistle went, I'd go back to sort of hiding stuff then for the rest of the week. So a little bit about who you support. Obviously, your Dutch shirts in the background, which I'm hoping we touch on something you shared with me the other day, which I found really interesting about them. But we'll get into that. But yeah, who do you support? And a little bit about that football background, mate.
Well, I was brought up an Arsenal fan. I stopped going Arsenal, fell out of love with the Premier League. I'm a big lover of Ajax Amsterdam. This is why I'm wearing this shirt as well. The Ajax UK supporters there are backing this Andy's Man Club and the It's Okay to Talk movement, which I'm really passionate about. Their prevention men's suicide charity, which is in there. I've experienced that in my family, men's suicide as well. I'm a Dagenham Redbridge season ticket holder with my boys, and that is a massive part. Going to Dagenham is a massive part of the relationship that I've grown even stronger with my 2 sons, you know. But I'm just obviously I don't switch off people, but I support the Dutch national team, always have done. I've just fell in love with the Dutch national team as a kid, and I've never followed the England national team. I live for the Dutch national team and Ajax really, and obviously Dagenham. but it is what it is. You get into something, and we was just saying about the shirts there. It's weird because obviously the last couple of years in particular, I'll collect all the Netherlands national team and the Ajax stuff. I've got wardrobes. I've got so much gear, and it's weird because I've noticed the last 2 or 3 weeks, like I said to you the other day, Jay, even wearing this stuff, I've hardly got any other normal clothes. My wife, I was sorting my wardrobe out, and my missus was like, what's your normal clothes? And that I said, I ain't got any. But this is part of, it's weird because that's become a sort of comfort blanket to me. Even as a 44-year-old man, I feel comfortable wearing this gear. And when I went shopping with the missus to Tesco's and I was wearing normal clothes, man, I couldn't wait to get home. I felt so self-conscious wearing normal clothes. How weird is that? It's weird. It's become a comfort blanket. It's a massive part of who I am. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely, mate. And in regards to, well, actually, you know, I want to let you lead this conversation. Again, I just want to say again, thanks for coming on and doing this, because obviously for a living, this is what I do. I work with the British Army. I work with so many. I mean, I was working this out a few days back because of the work I've started doing out here. Anyway, my point being, I've worked with over 1,000 soldiers over the last 5 years in regards to coaching and mental health, and it's such a big taboo. I've had my own mental health issues as well, which I'll touch on. But my point is, these shows are about the guests coming on and just being transparent and sharing whatever it is you want to share. So, you know the subject, mate. We had a little chat. I don't know where you're going to go with it, which makes it more authentic. If I do jump in at any point because you've said something, if you're all right, I might say, oh, Bob, do you mind if I just ask a quick question on that? If I feel if it's interesting, that's cushy with you. You tell me to piss off if you're in flow. It's not a problem. But, mate, thanks for being here. And if you sort of want to take away, what's been your journey with your mental health that you'd like to share?
I'll tell you what, if you put out that first picture that I sent you, Jay.
That one?
That one there. Not being funny, if you saw that picture, you'd think that guy was like the happiest man in the world, right? Smiling ear to ear. That picture was taken when I was at my lowest of the low. And this is what I want to say to people is, obviously, when you're going through stuff and you're at the lowest of your low, you do put on a smile. And by doing that, in my opinion, from my own experience, you're only kidding yourself. You're holding everything inside. You're killing yourself inside. At that time there, I looked so happy. Inside, I was shattered. I was in pieces. I didn't know what I was doing, where I was going. Do you know what I mean? I nearly lost everything at that time. But at the time, another important thing I'm going to say is, when you're like that and you're suffering, I know from my own experience, I didn't give a second thought as to how the people around me were being affected, my wife and kids and that. Do you know what I mean? I don't think that it didn't even enter my mind. I don't know if it was a selfish thing, but it was a combination of literally depression since I was about, I'd say 13 or 14. I felt very lonely as a child, very lonely as a teenager. I didn't like to make friends. Always stuck myself in the corner, never got involved in groups and stuff. When I went to the doctor in around that time there, just after that photo was taken. I got to my lowest and I actually went to the doctor. It was getting to a stage I was sitting indoors, just sitting in tears. And I had no reason, no understanding why I was feeling so bad every day. Every day was a struggle. Got to the point I'm thinking my kids are better off without me, that sort of shit. I turned to gambling later on, but I'll go into that. And that made me even more ill, to be honest. That made me even more unwell. It's a culmination of a lot of years, of a lot of stuff. Obviously, people blame their childhood and stuff on family breakups. Both my parents left the household, so both parents went out and done what they did and moved on. So I don't know if that was a part of things. I don't know, but I don't blame my parents for that. I don't hold grudges or anything like that. I think you make your own journey in life, and I don't know if you want to ask me anything, and I can sort of go into depth. I don't know where to go from that, really.
Mate, that's a great foundation point, because from my experience, so I've been doing what I've been doing now for 11 years. However, the last 6 years, since I had my own mental breakdown. And much like yourself, I remember my all-time lowest was looking at my wife's bank account to make sure the Aviva life insurance was still coming out. I think about that now, and I can't for the life of me think why was I in that situation. But it takes you to a really dark place, the mind. So the childhood thing, from my experience of coaching, God knows how many blokes over these last 6 years, especially, everyone I've ever coached, it's always gone, it's including my story. I've done my episode 1 of this podcast for people who ain't seen it. I'll just quickly nutshell it. It's not very nice. So my childhood experiences that I run from was I was groomed and sexually abused as a child. I didn't tell anyone for 27 years. Worst decision I've ever made. But that's how the mind works. You bury stuff, especially as blokes. You've got this societal expectation of what you think a man should be. And as far as I was concerned, for 27 years, even though I was a small little child when it happened, I fell short on every aspect of being a real man, and I tried to make up for it in different ways. So I know for me, and I'm still as broken as I was. It's just I'm more aware of it now, and I'm on that journey. I'm interested to hear where you are in regards to where you was and the fact that you're on here now speaking about it in front of other people, what's changed and how how your trajectory is now sort of moving forward. But from that childhood experience with losing your safety net, because that's what mums and dads, I mean, you're a dad now yourself. Could you ever think of not being around your kids? You can't, get you?
You know what? When I was at sorry, Joe, I'm not being ignorant. I want to get the screen up so I can see you on bigger there. Yeah,
go on, mate.
At my lowest, as weird as it sounds, and it upsets me to say it, I thought that was the only good thing for the kids, was to not have me there. As fucking as much as it kills me inside to say that, I'd sit there. I remember one night sitting there, the lights were off, the kids are watching telly, I'm on the sofa over there. Tears are streaming down my face. I'm looking at them. Just I don't know, what can I offer you? And people are saying, you're a good dad. I don't think, I've never been a bad dad, I don't think, but I think it's just self-doubt. I've got so much self-doubt in me. I'm riddled with it, and I still am today. And I've had people for years saying to me, you're one of the happiest people I've ever met. You're life and soul of the party, one-liners. It's all a front. It's all bullshit. Because when you strip yourself back, you've got to be honest with yourself. And I'm honest with myself now. And every day, I've got to say, every day still a struggle. I struggle with everyday life. I'm not going to lie. But I've found my coping mechanisms, really, which I think is really important for other people. I say to other people, like, you've got to get a variety of hobbies. You've got to keep your mind busy. I'll keep my mind busy, probably too busy. I'm so fucked all the time because I'm doing so much. But I think I'd rather be physically tired than mentally all over the place. Do you know what I mean?
Bang on, mate. Bang on. And I think this is a good opportunity. I'm going to share some statistics for people to hear. I just want to say Liam K, 1998, and anyone else who leaves comments in like this, we will get round to them, because that is such a powerful thing you've shared there, mate. I didn't you say that, boys, but I'm 27, Bob, and I feel lonely and no one cares about me, even when I'm around people. I can tell you this, and that's perfect segue. Thanks for sharing that, Liam, because I just want to share with people to put things in perspective. This is just in the UK, all right? So in the UK alone, 20% of men suffer with severe depression. 24% of men suffer with anxiety. 23% of men suffer from feeling lonely sometimes. Chronic loneliness, 10%. And often feeling lonely, 15%. So loneliness and mental health, they go hand in hand. In fact, one of the worst feelings, and the way you articulated that, Liam, about even when I'm around people, when I was at my worst, but like you described then, sitting there with your family, the people that you love, the people that you know, it's, it's unconditional, yet there's something missing. And I remember many times, like you, just sitting there, and even though being around, like, my kids are my world. Like, we lost our second child. That was another thing that happened to me when I was a younger man, that really, I mean, as painful as the abuse was, losing a kid, there is nothing that even comes close to that ache, that pain. And it gave me and my missus so almost an even deeper love for our kids that are still with us, because you realize, you know, things can happen in life at times, and even the things that are most precious can be taken away from you. And I remember feeling lonely around my family, and just how horrible the thoughts that go through your mind as well, like you said about the battle of the mind and trying to keep yourself busy out of your mind, because it can be a dark place, mate, can't it?
Oh, do you know what? I always say your own mind is the biggest prison. I always describe it as a prison, something you just can't get out of. You come to a stage when I'm self-employed. I think self-employment was a big part as an adult as well. That didn't help with the stresses of self-employment, making sure you've got work and you've got bills to pay, and sometimes the work's not there. I remember sitting on the bed when my daughter was about a year old. We just got into our new house. I sat there with my daughter on the bed and I was in tears. I had nothing. At the time, I had no savings, no money in the bank, no money to pay any bills. And I'm looking at this kid thinking, what have I got to offer you? Do you know what I mean? This is after, when my wife was pregnant. I almost run. I'm not going to lie to you. I went up north and stayed away, stayed at my mate's house, and I couldn't face the fact that I was going to be someone's dad, because I didn't know how to be someone's dad. So I still feel a little bit guilt. I said that to my wife the other day. So my daughter's like 20 last week. And I said to my wife on the day, I feel a little bit down today, because I still feel a bit guilty. Do you know what I mean? It's as weird as that sounds. I've still got a lot of guilt from that. I think what the problem with me is I fester a lot of stuff inside as well, and I don't give myself a break. Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, it's interesting because when you said, I think you said this earlier on, I'm sure, because my ears perked up about suffering in silence. I always say to people, that term is so backwards, because the truth is we don't suffer in silence. It's just the noisiest place that we suffer. No one else hears, because it's happening in between our ears. It's the mind, and it is the last. I mean, having a bit of silence in the mind is a God's gift, to be honest, but it don't work that way. And I mean, even without getting too nerdy, the way the mind is set up, on average, from 16-year-old onwards, we have about 70 to 80,000 thoughts every single day. That's been recorded many times. 70 to 80,000 thoughts every single day. So for people that think that they're in control of their minds, I can tell you it is physically impossible to consciously be in control of 70 to 80,000 of anything on a daily basis. That's just not how it works. And the problem is with how the mind works is, and it's all about patterns. And this goes back to the childhood thing you said about guilt and shame. They were my biggest self-persecuting feelings for so long. Guilt, shame, embarrassment, like not enough. Like, always told myself where I fell short. Like you, I always thought I was a great dad, but something inside me always told me, nah, you're not. Like, it's just that horrible little inner voice. And the problem is with our thoughts. Sorry, go on, mate.
No, it just niggles at you, doesn't it? It said you weigh it like that's biting at you
all the time. And the way the thoughts work are the normal unconscious mind works which is the ego, is them 70 to 80,000 thoughts. It's been proven that 95% of that number mirror what we thought the day before and the day before and the day before. So we get stuck in these patterns and we start depicting a negative future over experiences that have not happened yet, on the back of past experiences that we can't change. So we swing from shame, guilt, worry about all the things we let ourselves down and let our kids down and let our families down and let ourselves down, to then go in. And that's why in the future, you're going to be another useless bum because of all, do you know what I mean? And it's just this swinging from negative past shameful thoughts to then depicting why you're never going to make it in the future.
Definitely. But I think people need to, like I said earlier, like I hid this for years, hid stuff for years. But I've been with my wife like 26 years. I hope I got that right. She'll give me a pasting if I get that wrong. I'm sure it's 26 years, right? All those years, we went on like, she's the only one who really knew till about 4 or 5 years ago, to the extent that I suffer day in, day out. And she gets me. She knows what sort of mood I'm in, on leave me alone and I'll get out of it and stuff. But we went on holiday, and I think it was 2017. So this was like 18 years after we met. And it was one day we was in Kos in Greece, and the sister-in-law, just said to my missus, like, what's up with him today? Because they've only ever seen me as one-liner Bob, happy days Bob. And my missus just like, this is him, and the shocking people. Do you know what I mean? So I must have been a good actor. I must have been a fucking good actor to be able to hide that sort of shit. Because at times I was so low, man. Do you know what I mean? And I'll tell you what, it was weird. I was thinking about this earlier because I knew I was coming on. And when you asked me, have you got any pictures of pictures and that you want to put on? And around as weird as it sounds, I think the COVID lockdown, I think that probably saved my family life. And I think it probably saved a lot more. As far as the fucking tear it up. I think it did. It gave me a chance to regroup, to spend time and actually fucking just chat and have time with people. And you weren't allowed to do whatever. So I wasn't pissing off and doing this and that and going pubs or whatever. Do you know what I mean? I was with my family, and I think it actually fucking saved my marriage at the time. Yeah, fucking did, mate. I'm sure it did.
Quite that's powerful, mate. And can I ask, so in that, you might not be able to pinpoint it, I don't know how often you thought about this, but where you've identified it took that lockdown for you being forced to be around your family more. Is that fair enough to say?
Yeah. I think, do you know what, mate? We just literally, it was silly things like we'd go for walks in the forest and shit as a family. Whereas before it was, we'd go football, come home, we'd go shopping, and it's quality time in fresh air. And I tell you what, that culminated. Sorry, get my words out. I'm a bit fucking emotional. After this, I bought myself a camera because my cousin said to me, "Buy yourself a camera," and he said, "Go walking for miles and miles." And I'll tell you what, bought myself a camera, and I now do street photography. And through that, I found out that I've got a right creative side. I've had photos exhibited in New York and everything, and that was never a thought of doing, but just walking. This is, if someone's watching, mate, I'll tell you what, try this. Just get yourself a camera. Even if you don't want to take pictures, just don't get a camera. Just go walking down the Thames around water. I'll walk 15, 20 miles at a time. I'll tell you what, that fucking changed my life. It might sound really trivial, but it changed my life. I had that time on my own. I wouldn't say fresh air, but it's London, so it's not fresh air, is it? It's just so calming to be around the water. Just walk down the Thames. It's a buzz to do street photography. Do you know what I mean? Stuff like that. Obviously, I'm a UEFA coach as well. So at that time, it was weird. At that time, when I was at my lowest, I felt that was when I was at my highest as a coach. And the reason being, my FA mentor said this to me because I was doing a lot of one-to-ones. He said, "Bobby, I've noticed that you concentrate. The first thing you do with a player when you do a one-to-one, you work on their confidence straight away. All you're interested in is their mindset." He said to me, "I think it's because you've got no confidence in yourself and you want to see that in someone else. You want to see them achieve." How right he was. I was transfixed on getting these kids to improve. Do you know what I mean? And when, I'll tell you what, the best gift I was ever given, one of the kids, he played for his dad's team, but he was when they say the chubby boy of the team, hardly get any game time. This kid, he turned up at my team's presentation night and he gave me his first ever pair of football boots he had, and he signed them for me. And I thought that is still the best gift that anyone's ever given me, because it realised what I've done, like what I did for somebody else. Do you know what I mean? Mm. It's not hard to help somebody, even when you're at your lowest. You can still help someone else, and that's how I.
Mate, that's going to get me going, bro. That must have been a moment. I tell you, there's little things like that. And it's funny, isn't it, how we project, we're so good at giving others good advice. Yet when it comes to listening to that same advice, in our minds, we'll bring up a whole list of reasons why it don't apply to us.
Yeah, definitely. I've got all sorts of memories going through my head now just from doing this chat. And stuff that I could talk for about 6 hours for it, but I'm not going to bore people. But it has brought it's stoked a lot of stuff up in my belly. Do you know what I mean? But a lot of it's inside my belly's churning. But a lot of it's like, it weren't so bad at times. Some of the things, I'm taking the positives from it. Do you know what I mean?
Well, mate, do you know what? I think this is a great, by the way, to David, these are going to be happening once a week at least. And if anyone is interested in coming on, this show is, I mean, I'm lucky enough to know Bob. I know he's got a YouTube channel, but if people watching this think, well, I ain't got a YouTube channel, they're not going to want me on. I want fucking anyone on. Anyone on that wants to come and share, because the truth is, just like Bob's doing at the minute, when people authentically share themselves, they find a safe space. I'm telling you, already stuff that Bob has said is resonating with me, it's resonating with you, and you could have that same impact. So if people are interested in coming on, just leave me a message here. Do you know what? In fact, Bob, I'm going to put your thing back up in a minute, your subscriber. But people, this is my number. Reach out. I'm going to put that on. Okay, if you're interested or you know someone else who wants to come on, please do. Bob, I think this is a great opportunity to talk about that wonderful organization that you started sharing with me. You got the t-shirt on. It's okay to talk. And just before you go into that, the reason when you told me about that, I mean, that's I've got a t-shirt very similar from stuff I do for me coaching. It's okay to talk, but very similar thing, trying to get that simple message out there, because I know, mate, once, so like I said, 27 years, I didn't tell no, my mum didn't know me, dad didn't know. As soon as I spoke and I told myself, if anyone listened to the first bit of this, I read a little motivational piece out, and part of it says the strongest thing you can do as a man is face yourself. That's what I realized I'd been running from all them years, was me. Like, it weren't the abuser. The abuse stopped nearly 3 decades ago, but it carried on because of me. And the moment I spoke about it, mate, I couldn't shut up talking about it. And it weren't because I wanted people to feel sorry for me. Far from it. Because for 27 years, I was scared of anyone knowing. I thought people would think I'm gay. Nothing against gay people, disclaimer. It's just I'm not gay. But that's what my mind told me all through my young teenage years, into then getting old. You're gay, you're this, you enjoyed it. You know, all that horrible shit. But then once I started talking about it, I was like, fuck, why did I wait all this time? Because it's therapy. As soon as you get it out of here, you're I always say to people, you're the first person to hear what you say before you even say it. But once you put it out there and you hear yourself talking about, I mean, I videoed the first time I spoke, really talked and faced myself. I was getting coached at the time. What I do now, I was the coachee, which is what helped me change my career into doing what I'm doing now. But I had a coach, and he said to me, he said, look, even if you don't want to tell me, because he knew something was wrong, he said, there's something you're not telling me. He said, tell yourself. And I thought, what do you mean tell yourself? Video yourself. And straight away my mind went, I can't stand the way I look. I can't stand the way I talk. I've never been one for pictures. Like, up until 6 years ago, you would never have caught me dead on social media or anything like that at all. But I never forget the day I sat in my car, waiting for my son to come out of school. I thought, fuck it. I switched on the camera and I started telling myself what happened to me. Mate, it changed my whole life over that 30-40 minutes. I mean, the thing is, just like you said a minute ago, where you started remembering stuff, when I started talking about it, mate, it all came flooding back. And don't get me wrong, I broke. Like, I was ugly, crying, but it was, and you know, it was quite fitting. I did it in a graveyard. And I always say it was almost like it came out of me and just sort of spread out all that crap into that graveyard. And I was so grateful from that point on. And that's from then I remember making that decision. Right, you're not only going to not talk about this, you're not going to stop talking about this. You're going to make sure that other people, you can give them an opportunity by being transparent, being honest, creating a safe space for them to say, do you know what? If Jay's dapping the Jay and he's talking about it, maybe I can talk about it. And the organization that you've bigged up a couple of times, and I think, by the way, you've had a load of love in the comments from people. Shout out to everyone in comments. I will get back to some of your comments. It's just I really want everyone to hear what Bob's got to say as well. But it's okay to talk, mate. Tell us a little bit about it, please, bro.
Well, I only heard of this organisation a couple of weeks ago, really. Obviously, due to I'm part of a UK IAC supporters group, and one of the guys, Bradley, top man, absolute top man. He's from Halifax. And they started locally to him, but they used the on this, you can see on these shirts, the UK IAC group there, but that's their hashtag. It's okay to talk without spelling. He messaged me about it because I think he knew a little bit about myself and that, and just said about it, and they've linked up. But I've done a little bit of research about them. They're like a male suicide prevention charity, sort of thing. But they started in Halifax. But I just typed into their website last night, local to me. They actually do meetings in Romford. They've got meetings everywhere. So they've obviously expanded really well. I know they've got a lot of followers on Instagram and social media. But from what I'm told, the work they're doing, Bradley told me quite a bit about them. Unbelievable. And something like that, especially when it's suicide. 'Cause my uncle committed suicide when I was 16. He was 31. So I wouldn't say it runs in my family, but it's something that's obviously in the family there. But something like that really hits there. And that sort of charity, I'm really massive for pushing really and doing what I can. And I know we spoke about the Ben Nevis football climb, didn't we? I was planning to do. Well, things have just totally took over. And I was meant to be doing it. It was actually going to be this weekend. But when I do that, they are definitely going to be one of the charities that get something from that. Definitely, I'm definitely passionate about that, 1,000,000%. But I just want to say something you just said just now about opening up. You said when you opened up, it just all come out. Just that took me back to Christmas, New Year 2019, I think it was. That's when that photo was. That opening up, because I used to, after the holiday in Cos, obviously my mother-in-law was like a counsellor to me. If I felt down, I would talk to my mother-in-law. She's so easy to talk to, and she always had the answers for me. But that time, the last time I went round there and I spoke to her, it was the first time I come out there and I thought, I don't feel that's helped me this time, but it's something different. Do you know what I mean? So I actually went to the doctors. I went to the doctors with the intention of thinking I need some medication or something. I'm all over the place. And I tell you what, that 10-minute chat I had in the surgery with the doctor, that changed my life. Unbelievable. Just opening up for this. I think it was because it was a complete stranger. This is the thing I want to say to anyone watching. If you're having troubles, mate, just talk to anyone. Doesn't matter. Sometimes it's better if it's a complete stranger. If you've got no ties, they don't know your background. They don't know what it's just someone to talk to. And they honestly, that changed things for me massively. Massively. And I can't stress enough how you should honestly just speak to someone. Because I know people now. I'm friends with people now. And since people have realised that I've had my issues, people that never knew that before, I've spoke to a lot of people that I know, friends, and I've helped a few people. That's the positive you take from it as well. I will. Do you know what? All the shit that I've been through in my own brain and stuff, I wouldn't say it's worth it to help people because I wouldn't want to go for it again. But you've got to take the positives from it. 1,000,000%. If you can help someone else, which I feel I have quite a lot, then yeah, that's powerful, mate. To help another human being. Totally. Do you know what I mean?
I absolutely do, mate. And for me, it was when I realised that I had to help me first. And by doing that, then just sharing that, look, mate, you might see me as this, but let me tell you about me. Like I remember, right? I should have had the picture of this. I wonder if I've got it here while I'm talking. I might try and dig it out. I've got a picture of me. So the first time I worked for the army, worked with the army, because as a civilian in the British Army, I was the first person in the history, and I'm so proud of this. I was the first person in the history of the British Army to be invited in as a civilian to work with their most vulnerable soldiers. And that had happened because it's a long story, but I'd ended up coaching. Part of what I do, I coach kids as well. I coached a little girl. It turns out I then coached her mum, who was what's called a pad wife, so a wife of a soldier. And then, so in this weird, random way, I ended up in Marchwood, down in Portsmouth. So in Portsmouth, they've got one of their regiments called Marchwood. And the guy, Ash, shout out to Ash. He might see this, actually. Staff Warrant Officer Ash Witzer, salute. He said to me, he said, Jay, he said, you know, be wary that these people, that they don't want to be here and they're not going to buy into you. Like that was the sort of the pep talk. And I was already, my arsehole I was more nervous that day than any football match I've ever, you know, before the matches, I always used to get ready. I'd always have a couple of dumps before every match, yeah, to get out all the nerves. And then I'd go out feeling a bit lighter. I remember getting there, right, and I walked out and, mate, there was 350 soldiers, right, all lined up. And you know, they're lumps. A lot of them was like, I was thinking, you know what it reminded me of, without going off topic too much? So part of my story is I got banged up for 5 years. And I remember the first time I walked onto Pentonville D-Wing, which ironically, imagine this, my dad and 3 of my uncles had been screws on that wing about 4 or 5 years before. So obviously I had to keep that under my belt. But I remember walking onto D-Wing and thinking, I'm going to get totally shafted here. Like I just remember thinking all of these lumps in. I remember walking in that day to Marchwood, looking at these soldiers and thinking, like, my arsehole just went. Anyway, I just thought, you know what, Jay, just tell him his truth. Tell him your story. Tell him who you are. Like, and this was the first time I'd publicly shared about being abused as a kid. It was that day in front of all them people. By that stage, I told my wife. In fact, I told my wife the day I videoed myself. The day I videoed myself, I got home, right? It was all on me, obviously on my mobile, and I've come in. You can clearly see I've been crying. And she's like, "What's the matter?" Like, have a look at that sort of thing. I'm all happy, and she's thinking, "What's going on?" She's started watching it, just completely broke down. I'm going, "No, babe, don't cry. This is brilliant. Like I've kept this in for so long." It was such a rush of a feeling to get it out. I mean, I remember thinking that day, right? Let me just stick these soldiers with it, mate. Come the end of that session, right? And I'm still, in fact, shout out to Kaz, one of them soldiers. He'll be on. He'll be doing his Bigger Than Football. He's coming on to do it. In fact, he's going to help me host some of these because we want to get a few more soldiers on telling their stories. But come the end of that session, all of them blokes that was initially sitting there, like looking like they did not want to be there at all. I had at least 20 of them come up to me, crying their eyes out at the end and saying, "That happened to me. That happened to me." So just by being able to have initially helped myself by facing my own trauma myself and accepting that it weren't my fault, it's all right to talk about it. It's all right still at times to feel ashamed. You know, I'm not saying since I've started talking about it, it's completely switched things off and all the images of things that happened have gone. No, that's not how it works. But it's just I stopped looking at it with hatred and anger and shame and all that stuff. And I started looking at it with sort of gratitude that it might take me 27 years to get this out, but once it come out, it was like the best lesson I've ever taught myself. And then being able to share that with other people, what I like to lay claim to is I've helped other people help themselves, which is true self-help. Because I don't care who you are, you could be the best doctor, the best coach, the best anything in the world, but you can only advise. It comes down to that individual, like you, like me, like whoever, going, do you know what? No, fuck it. Like, this is me. This happened to me. This is what do you know? And once you do, it's amazing how many people, like you've just said, people that have known you for so long that clearly when you was wearing your Bobby the one-liner mask, so I'm going to stick up this photo now because I'd like you to talk on that one next. When you're wearing that, oi, I'm Bobby one-liner, and they're around you being Dave, Terry, Dick and Harry one-liners, but all of a sudden you take off your mask and all of a sudden they start having a little look under theirs and thinking, well, Bob's taking his off. Is it all right for me to have a chat? Do you know what I mean?
Definitely. That picture there was taken, I think that was about maybe 6 months later, after I'd been at that low. I came out of that low and I found a little coping mechanism. Every day I try and tick off 3 successes, even if it's, I don't know, getting a new client for my decorating business. I'll tick off 3 things every day, and I still do it now in my mind. I don't write it down, but I'll do it in my mind. And being a Dagenham fan, we ain't had much successes this year, so I've got to to be fair. But no, that's what I'm trying to do that, and I'll still stick to it really. But at that time, I mean, I'd gone all through that, gone to the doctor, and I didn't take those pills. I got pills, but do you know what? I'm right proud of myself actually, because I got those pills and I thought I can beat it without them. I've done it without the pills. I threw them away. I didn't never take any. And I thought I'm going to do this without going down the medical route with the tablets and stuff, you know, without the funny pills and that. But that was about 6 months later there. I'm one of these people, I need something to stimulate me. I've never done drugs. I've never been a massive drinker, but I turned to gambling. And the worst thing I did was I signed up for this online. I'm not even going to mention the company because the thought of it makes me feel sick now. They prey on you when you're They prey on people, mate, and they make you mentally ill. They made me even worse. This made me even worse. It's not them, it was me. I got to take onus for it. I got to a stage where, for that buzz, I'd have a little, you do your accumulators. I was doing it online then. But the problem with online money, it doesn't feel like money. I would never, I'm being careful what I say, because if my missus watches this, I don't want her to know what sort of extortionate amounts I was spending. So I'm not going to say amounts on it, because I'll get a black eye later. I was literally spending ridiculous amounts of money that I didn't have at the time, really. Do you know what I mean? I was finding money from everywhere. I was skimming it from bill money and money for the house and all this stuff. And I think in one weekend, I won about £6,000, and I thought, oh, lovely, put it away. That was gone in about half an hour. And what I'd done, then I started nipping into other money that I had hid here and there. Then you spend that, and then you're thinking, where can I borrow some money? Can I get a loan out from somewhere? I didn't go down that route. I didn't get that bad in the end. But the amount of money I lost in the amount of money I lost in one, I'd say an hour and a half on one Saturday, put me to the depths again. It was accumulating. I tell you what I was doing. I turned around to my missus one day and I said, oh, I'm winning so much money, it's another income. What a plank. I thought it was another guaranteed earner every week. I was winning 1,500 to £2,500 at a time. It was going back quicker, and I was giving them money on top of it, on top of it, on top of it. And it got to the stage where I think I got to even lower than I was before, because I'm sitting there, and I don't know if people who are on the chat or whatever have gambled before, but you think you're always winning. No one's winning. If you was winning, they wouldn't be in business, would they? You're always losing. You're borrowing the money and you're giving them more back. And I remember I got to a stage one Saturday, I think it was a Saturday night. It must have been probably about 2-3 in the morning, actually. I'm sitting online, my missus snoring next to me, and I'm in my arms, whatever, and I'm sitting on my...
Mate, you're going to get a black eye for that. If I told people my missus snore, bruv, I'd be butted.
But I'm sitting there scrolling through at something like, I can't even remember. It must have been like Japanese 4th division or Australian 16th division. I don't know. Football, I don't know anything about. It just in the desperation, I needed to win some money. Everything was gone. And even now, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. The feelings I had that night, I was so desperate. Do you know what I mean? That was probably, to be honest, I think that's probably in a different way the lowest I've been as well. At that point, this was a culmination over months and months, and I've not betting over 2 years now. But I'd have a little occasional bet after that. I was able to stop. You know what I mean? At a sensible amount. But I went shopping with the missus about that. The last time I bet, it must have been a week. I'll say 2 years ago. I got home about 2:45, and I thought, right, let's go on the website. You know what I'd done? I'd been shopping all day, but I said to my missus, I need to go around the shops. And she was like, what are you talking about? I said, I need to get the kids some sweets or something. It was just an excuse to get away from the temptation of the laptop, just to go. And do you know what? I come back from there so proud of myself that I give that temptation up, even if it was just to go around and get a couple of bags of Maltesers or something silly like that. The temptation, that was the first time I think I'd ever been able to get away from the temptation of something like that. Do you know what I mean? Mm. But yeah, at that point, at that stage there, that picture there, what you put up, I was at a fucking bad. That's probably why I had a beer in my hand, to be fair. I was in a fucking right state at the time. But that's what gambling does to you. If you take advantage of it and you think you're on a winner. I was winning silly bets. In the end, I was betting on, I bet one day on Jamie Vardy to get a yellow card. He scored a last minute winner. He kicked the corner flag and got a yellow card. I think he made me about £2,000.
Mental, isn't it?
Something silly. But it doesn't last forever, mate. Honestly, gambling nearly lost me, probably my relationship and my children as well, I think, at the time. But since then, it's just become. I've learned sort of. I don't know if people have had mental health issues who are in your chat and what have you, because I can't really see I can't see the comments. I'm talking to the phone. But to have different interests, stuff to keep your mind busy, goals to aim for. I mean, I'm back coaching full time now with my own team. I'm fucking buzzing with this team. I love them kids, and I'm really enjoying coaching them. But I think you should really look at, and I've said this to a few people that I've helped, really try and find yourself a few decent hobbies, stuff that you get a good buzz out of. I mean, I collect, you can see these, I've got fucking, oh mate, Untold Netherlands and Ajax shirts up there. And my missus, as a guy, would be like, fucking, this is, it's a bit match, isn't it? But the thing is, I'm not hurting anybody with it. I'm not throwing the money at the bookies. I'm not taking drugs with it. Do you know what I mean? Just let me be, leave me be. That's my little thing. And I think everyone should have their thing, you know? Definitely. 1,000,000%.
Bang on, mate. Bang on. You know, people talk about vices, and it's quite funny. It's interesting. You talk about gambling, and then, like you said, holding the beer. The most damaging drugs to people are legal. Gambling is a drug. Alcohol is a drug. Do you know what I mean? Smoking. If you look the way society's set up, it's understandable why people go down these routes and how it all sort of goes hand in hand with each other. You know, a few bad days on the gambling, next thing you know, you're getting pissed to try and forget or think about all the money you've lost on the gambling. You're up on the gambling, you're having a good win, £2,000. Let's go out and get pissed to celebrate. It's messed up when you think about
definitely
the way it you know. And don't, at the end of the day, you've already said this, and I know with my own issues that I've had, like I've stopped drinking for I'm over 2 years sober now. Because why? Because I was an alcoholic. Even in the last sort of, you know, for the last 11 years, you know, the stuff I've been doing as a coach, working as a cancer coach and everything else, I was still doing that as a functional alcoholic. And what I mean by that is someone who drinks, who knows actually there's a cutoff point. I always tell myself, I'll be all right. And then bosh, the amount of times growing up, I'd wake up in Lewisham Nick, Streatham Nick, Forest Gate Nick, and not knowing, having a Scooby of what I've done for 8, 9, 10 hours, you know, like gaps of just not knowing what I've done. So I realized, and like I said, you know, I'm not perfect. I was still doing all the stuff I've been doing for the last even 6 years with the army, and still being a bit an alcoholic until 2 years ago, where I made that decision, where I realized, right, I'm losing my wife and kids again. That had already nearly happened once a few years prior, before I'd faced myself with the abuse thing. And I thought, what am I doing? Why am I making these choices? Because at the end of the day, I choose to drink. I chose to drink. I chose to be an alcoholic. You chose to be an addict. That's the truth. And being able to take accountability and ownership, that's the first step in healing from it. Because, you know, it's so easy to blame, point fingers and give reasons to why. But as soon as you can go, no, that is totally on me. That is all on me. It gives you a foundation to then take that next step. Right. Yeah, it's all me. It's my fault. So what am I going to do about it now? And that's my encouragement to anyone that's listening to this today. And you think that Bobby said, you might have heard stuff. There's a lot of people been resonating with you in chat. There's been loads of good stuff that's being said about you as well. And if you're one of these people that are listening to this, don't let this be this thing that you listen to for now and think, yeah, that was brilliant. And then you go off and don't follow it through. Because that's what I used to do. I used to see things. I used to think, yeah, this is it. This is that time. And then all of a sudden I build that list in my head of why it's not that time. And you know what? It was just something I watched. Yeah, it was good. But let me get back on the piss, or let me get back in the bookies. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'll tell you what, it's weird because I found something out about myself just while I've been talking to you on here, right? I've done a video on my YouTube channel quite a few months ago, probably 5, 6 months ago. And I spoke about this sort of thing. And I sat here in tears the whole time. And it kept, but I'll tell you what, I've spoke about it tonight, and it's made me think, like, I can actually speak properly now about this sort of stuff, and it doesn't. I suppose, like you heal. You said, like you said, I suppose I'm feeling a bit better about things, but it doesn't mean I still suffer every day. Every day is a challenge, mate. Do you know what I mean? I think what's made it probably didn't help me at first. I'm self-employed, as you know, right? I'm a decorator. I used to have my dad working with me, so I always had someone to chat to every day, all day, have a laugh and a bit of banter and call each other twats and all that sort of shit. But I'd say the last 6 months, it's just been me on my own. My dad's sort of semi-retired. So at first I really struggled with that because I don't like to be in my own headspace. I don't like to be on my own. And if I'm in someone's house for 7, 8 hours a day on my own, I've only got myself thinking. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
But just of late, I'm sort of finding that a bit of a positive now, because it's given me time to really think and really like put a lot of stuff to bed. Do you know what I mean? If that makes sense. I think I'm sort of I don't know what the word is. Sort of learning to deal with things in my own way, in my own space, which I've never been able to do. Never been able to do. Now I've been put in that position, I'm dealing with stuff so much better. It's crazy. I can't even explain it to you.
Mate, that makes perfect sense. What you said, that honestly, that I'm sure that will be resonating with other people that have made that change. Like when I said earlier about, you know, I went through a stage. Hold on, Bob. I've done a usual thing where my power's going. I didn't plug in again. 2 secs, Bob, right? I'm so sorry, people. I'm just grabbing me power. I'll be back.
Okay. Come on, Jay. You can delete your browser history before your missus gets home later. Come on.
When I said earlier about self-help, I went through a stage where I was literally reading so many. There's a book called The Power of Intention, strongly recommend it. There's a book called The Power of Now, strongly recommend it. I was looking at all these books and I was reading them. I was thinking, yeah, this is brilliant and everything else. But then as soon as I closed the book, it was like I didn't realize it then. In hindsight, I realized now I'm still just listening to someone else's story of success, how someone else helped themselves. And yeah, it was inspiring, but it wasn't my experience. But then little things started happening, like that time, videoed myself and all that stuff that I've said about. And all of a sudden it was just me. Like you just said, it was you and your thoughts. And you're then, because let's face it, anyone who says that they don't talk to themselves, you're chatting shit. We all talk to ourselves all the time. Like you'll have one voice go off in your head and you'll have 2 or 3 counteracting. And that's the way the mind works. For me, as soon as I started taking them little steps where I realized, oh no, I did that. It weren't because of the book. It weren't because of someone else, something said. It was like, it was a decision that I made. And from that point on, again, and what I realized, for so long, my mind made it seem as if to change was the biggest, most difficult. It would take the most grand gesture in the world for me to change my life. And then I realized the truth was, all I had to do was just change the way I was looking at things. For so long, I'd looked at myself and my past at one way, which the feelings I attributed to that way of looking at it was negative. And then all of a sudden, all I did, you know, all my past is not, my past ain't changed. You can't change your past, stating the obvious, but you can change the way you look at it. You can change the way you attribute a feeling to your past. Because there's a lot of, I know this from my professional practice. Guilt, shame, and embarrassment is such a big part of a lot of men's lives that we hold. Because we're too ashamed to tell people we feel lonely. We're too ashamed as men to say, actually, I suffer with a bit of anxiety. We all do. We all go through these horrible little niggling mind battles that someone else can tell. Just like we were saying earlier about when you helped other people, you can give them the best advice in the world. But as you're giving it, your mind's even saying, oh, yeah, you're giving that good advice, aren't you? But you can't do it yourself, can you? Like, it is an ongoing battle. And for me, mate, I don't think that voice in my head is ever going to stop. It don't stop. But it was just a case of becoming just more aware of it. Like, and not just that, aware of it in myself, realizing, and I think a big part of that for me was that day with the army, was when so many other blokes came up afterwards, went, oh, that happened to me. That all of a sudden it's like, oh, so I wasn't on my own all these years. Like, you think it's just you, it's, you know, it's only you that's feeling this way. And then all of a sudden you realize, oh, fucking hell, like, this is a common thing. Do you know what I mean?
Well, you think you're in your own, obviously you're in your own headspace, you're in your own world, aren't you? Like I said earlier, you don't, I didn't personally, I don't know if you like, or anyone else can think like this. it didn't once cross my mind how it was affecting my wife or my kids when I was like this. I was so caught up in my own shit. It didn't cross my mind. It just didn't. I don't know if that's selfish or it's just a natural thing. I don't know. But I'll tell you what I've noticed. Like, there's a couple of messages I've had. I put this out on Twitter, and that was going to come on here, and I got a couple of people comment, and surprised, like a couple of Dagenham fans. I'm not going to say names, but a couple of them said, like, I suffer depression, I suffer this anxiety every day, and this, I'm like, fucking, it really shocked me to hear that, because I'm thinking, like, the people feel the same. They do. They feel the same. It's not, you're not in a lonely space. Do you know what I mean? I think you're only in a lonely space if you're too afraid to come out of that space and share it. And I think if you share it, mate, it honestly, fucking, it really does take a weight off your shoulders. When I come out of that doctor's that new year, 2020, honestly, the world lifted. It was unbelievable. The relief I felt when I come out, it was unbelievable. I can't even, if I could bottle that feeling and keep it forever, I would. The feeling I felt coming out of that doctor's, and I fucking hate doctors, not personally, but I don't like going there. But the feeling I felt there, it was, yeah, unbelievable. But like I say, you're probably the same every day. It's still a struggle. People who I probably coach their kids or I do work for them, they don't know what you're feeling every day, or do you know what I mean? Everyone's different. It's a fucking strange world, mate. It's a strange world. But I think if people got to stick together. If they're feeling this sort of stuff, they've got to come out and speak about it, even to a total stranger, like I said before. Million percent.
Bang on, mate. And we're approaching the hour mark now, and I'll try and keep these to an hour. Bob, what I'd like to sort of ask you now then is what tips, and maybe even stuff that you now do that has helped you when the mind, and we always know, here we go, the mind it starts getting on top. How would you sort of advise? Have you got any tips for people? Any little tricks that you do to help?
I've got coping mechanisms, like I say. I'll try it. It might sound stupid to some people, but I just thought of it one day. I'm sitting here, and I just thought, I've got to help myself here. Like I said, 3 positives a day. Even if it's helping someone do something, like I say, if I book in a new client, that's a success. I do 3 successes every day. Still do it now, and I will probably do it to the end of my life. Probably will do it every day till my dying day, because it gets me through. I'm more open with things. Sometimes, yeah, I do probably annoy the missus still. I'll say, like, I'm having one of them days. I'll snap out of it. Sometimes I probably should open up more with her, I suppose. But I'd go back to stuff, and I don't want to put it on her. And I know she'll fucking support me anyway. But I think appreciate, not a tip, but I'd say probably try and look at the positives and appreciate what you've got around you. You probably don't realize what you have around you. I mean, from the outside, people would probably say he's got a lovely wife, 3 fucking great kids, he's got a good job, he works for himself, he's fucking absolutely a hunk of a man. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, mate, that I tell you what, that picture earlier, bruv, that one there, I started getting funny twinges when you said, look at that. I thought, what am I supposed to do? In my mind, I'm going, I would.
But you've got to take the positives out of everything, mate. I've learned that. I used to look at the negatives of everything. I used to dig into things just to find a negative to explain how I was feeling, just to justify. And I'll tell you what, one thing as well, I would say, I don't know if anyone in the chat or anything does this as well. And I used to do it. I used to look for negatives in my wife at one point to justify how I was feeling. How sad is that? How sad is that? And when I look back, my wife, I've got to say, my wife's probably got no negatives. It's crazy. But just to justify, I think you've got to take responsibility. I probably didn't take responsibility at times. I tried to shirk things and tried to blame other people and for the reasons, do you know what I mean? But definitely I'd say get yourself a few hobbies, 1,000,000%. Keep yourself busy. loads of walking, mate. Definitely, I'd say that, and that's helped quite a few people that I know I've helped. I've spoken to. They've gone out walking. Even they've started taking pictures. Even walking around the lakes and stuff. Go out in nature. You can't beat it. You can't beat it. I do the coaching. I do the photography. I've got so many hobbies. I mean, even the YouTube. I'll be honest with you. The YouTube. There was 4 of us who'd done it originally. 4 football dads, and after a few weeks and that, like the others, they said, not really for me. I was probably the one who was most inside, was probably the most worried about doing it because I'm putting myself out there. I'm very self-conscious, mate. Very self-conscious. Always have been. I used to have to have a couple of beers and get half pissed before I went round anyone's house. I couldn't make eye contact with people. I would just be red in the face and I'll clam up and everything. Fucking so anxious. But doing that YouTube channel, I'll sit on this Dutch couch, mate. I know it's probably a DFS couch. It's not a Dutch one, really. But I'll sit here and I'll just talk shit. And it's like, I find that quite therapeutic. And it's like a therapy to me because I'll just talk to the camera, talk about football. That's where I'm most comfortable. I went for an operation and they had to take my bloods, but they couldn't get my blood pressure to go down. And the lady noticed I had some football gear on. She talked to me about football for about 2 minutes and she went, "Oh, your blood level's gone right down, your blood pressure." She said, "So it obviously shows that's how you're most, do you know what I mean? That you're most comfortable." It was like, wow, you know me so well now. But yeah, definitely.
Listen, mate, I just want to say thank you so much. You've been my first guest. I did the first episode myself, a little bit about my own story, and you've been my first guest. I'm really glad. I'm really, we connected. Shout out to Luigi and Sam, because it was Louis that said, "Have you back then?" He said, "You seen this geezer Bob and what he's doing?" And people, for the record, he's going across the bottom the whole time at Football the Dads Talk. Please subscribe to Bob's channel, and I've also added a hashtag there. It's okay to talk, and I just want to say I've been seeing a lot from Bradley Dobson, who's the Bradley that you referred to in the comments. He's
top man.
Bradley, I'd love to have you on. If you're interested in coming on as well, would love to have you on. And there's been a lot of other people as well just saying, nothing but nice things about you, mate. So you're a good geezer, and I mean that. You're a good bloke, and I'm pleased to know you, and I'm looking forward to whenever you do that Ben Nevis thing. 'Cause that came up on I had that plugged into my phone. So I had that, the date. So that came up on my calendar. And whenever you do get that going again, what I am going to do, I'm going to get some of the British soldiers that I've worked with to also get involved.
Awesome, that'd be great.
As
I
well.
want to get some of the Ajax guys there. I want to get some of the Ajax supporters there. Like you said about Bradley there. Honestly, he's such a great guy.
He's just said he'd come on as well, which is fantastic. That's brilliant.
He's a UK-based Ajax season ticket holder. Absolute top man. And he's the one who found out about Andy's Man Club. He's a really top guy. And I'm going to give a mention quickly to Dan Holmes from the Ajax supporters group as well, because he got in contact with me first to get me on board with them. So, yeah, I'm thankful for that. Really thankful.
Right, people, I'm going to put this up again. So this is the number going across there. Don't call in or leave a message at this stage because I won't be taking it. But that's my number. If you know someone, if you think actually this person, there's a charity that you know of that, they'd be good to come on and have a chat. I don't care who wants to come on. Like I said, it's as long as it's a meaningful subject. That's all. This is, it's not about football. It's bigger than football. We might have a little bit of banter about football, but the topics that we want to cover, like today, like men's mental health, that's a big subject, and not enough blokes are talking about it. So again, Bob, I tip me out to you for coming on. I remember the first time we done that show, you came on, you said to me afterwards, Corey, you'd opened up a bit, and your dad had watched it. Do you remember?
Yeah, my dad didn't know anything. My dad didn't know anything about these problems. Yeah. Weird for me. I was like, oh shit.
Mate, and it's an ongoing journey. Like, mate, I'm definitely someone, I might coach people, and I might, all the stuff I do with people, mental health and everything else. But every single day your eyes open up, life is a battle. It is a battle. And most of the time we're battling, like I said earlier, noise that no one else hears. It's only going on in our heads, people. And I just want to say it is okay to talk. So I want to big up that organisation again. It's okay to talk. I'm hopefully going to, Bob, if you can, I think Bradley will be, Brad, message me if you don't mind, Brad. Please send me a WhatsApp or something. I'm based in Spain, but that's a UK number. Please get in contact. And anyone else that wants to get in contact as well, even if it's to have a chat. So I'm just going to wrap up. Bob, do you mind just staying on just for only take me a minute to wrap up and then just have a quick chat with you? Is that all right? Yeah.
No
People
worries.
at this stage, I don't know if Steve, West Ham, Steve, thanks for everyone in chat. Everyone in chat has been wonderful. Thanks for the people who have opened up in chat as well. It's not easy. And for some of you, maybe that was your first step. Don't lose the momentum, right? And take that as a win. Don't let your mind dismiss that, oh, yeah, it was only a comment. No, it was a fucking comment you made and it was a win, and build on that, because we dismiss all the little wins we achieve on a daily basis. And come the end of the day, what we normally do is just tell ourselves what we ain't done and what we ain't achieved and what we ain't got. Well, the truth is, people, if you ain't done it, you ain't achieved it, and you ain't got it, it's Narnia. It's fiction. Look at what you have got. Look what you have done every day. You've opened the door for someone. You've smiled at someone. You've picked up something that someone's dropped and you give it to them. The most important thing about being a human being is being kind, is being happy, is being grateful, is being okay with being sad and grieving, is feelings. There's not many things that genuinely equalize humanity, regardless of color, creed, culture, religion, status. Feelings is definitely one of them. I don't care who you are, where you've been, where you're going. You would have experienced love, happiness, loss, sadness, grief, anger, frustration, gratitude. And what we tend to do is get into this habit of where we don't validate our feelings. Well, you must validate your feelings, because here's a fun fact about you that I'm not saying to sound nice. It's the truth. You're the only you that ever was, is, and will be. There's never been another one of you before. There's not another one of you walking around now, and there'll never be another one of you again. If you think in life the amount of monetary value we'll put on a painting because it's a one-off, or a pen because someone's written with it, or a typewriter because someone's written a book with it, it'll go for millions. What monetary value do you put on your life? If I was to offer you 100 million now, but said you can't wake up tomorrow, would you take it? Probably not. So that should give you a clue to what you truly feel about yourself. You are special, you are a one-off, and you do deserve to be your best self. Because the thing is, people, no one else can be your best self. No one else can be a better version of you. That's all on you, because no one else has had that opportunity to be you, and no one ever will. So enjoy it. Enjoy being yourself. If you want to reach out, there's my number. If you want to get in contact with Bob or on his channel as well, the details have been going up the whole time. Thank you so much for listening today, people. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your evening, morning, afternoon, depending on when you're watching this. And always remember, you are enough. So, Bob, thanks a lot, mate. I'm going to end the stream, but stay on because I have a quick chat with you after, yeah? Nice one, Bob. See you later, everyone.
Take care, mate. Thank you, guys.